Today we got a story time of one of the most unhinged Karens ever going off on the subscriber's little brother. And yes, don't worry about it. The Karen gets the karma she deserves when the subscriber finds a way to get back at that Karen. This is an absolutely satisfying story that I know you will enjoy. So leave a like on the video right now. Subscribe to the channel if you are new and enjoy Storytime videos. With that all being said, let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Tyler. So anyways, Tyler had a little brother. We'll call his little brother Ben because it's a thing on the channel to always call the secondary character Ben. Anyways, though, so Tyler and Ben, they actually have a pretty good relationship because sometimes, older brothers, little brothers can have complicated relationships where they love each other as brothers, but they do not want to hang out. However, Tyler, the subscriber, had a very good relationship with his younger brother in the sense that, they kind of like the younger brother, Ben, looked up to Tyler. They got along well. When they fought, when they would fight, it would end quickly, and they rarely fought each other. And it was overall a very good relationship. One thing that they did every single week was that Tyler would bring his little brother Ben to the park. Yes, so every single week they would go to the park, and at this park, it was kind of like a community park where you could bring your dog, you could bring your friends. It was very beautiful. People were there. There was a basketball court. There was all this type of stuff, right? So there's a lot of stuff for them to do. And the thing was, they were pretty far apart in the sense that, I think Tyler was in 8th grade and his little brother was in 3rd grade. So a pretty big age gap in that sense. So they didn't really have a lot of things in common. However, they both enjoyed basketball. And Tyler was pretty good. He was on his school's varsity team, and his little brother wanted to learn. Yeah, so this all started one weekend. And also I want to say that they could only see each other really on the weekend because during school, they weren't even in the same school building as they were so many grades apart. And Tyler, as he was in 8th grade, was starting to get some pretty legitimate homework. And he also wanted to hang out with his friends. So they dedicated every Saturday as the time to actually go and hang out together. So anyways, this story all happens on one Saturday morning. So Tyler and Ben, they walk over because it's walking distance from their house, which is very convenient. They walk over to the park that they go to every single week. And Tyler is holding a basketball. So anyways, right, sure, because, they bring their own basketball. There's courts. Normally, no one's really on the courts. If someone is on the courts, that's fine because there's a bunch of basketball hoops. Even if the most packed it's ever been, even then they've never had an issue getting a basketball court. So anyways, they walk over there and, Tyler is talking to Ben about whatever interesting thing was happening that week at school. And, Ben was, talking about the new whatever, right? Oh my God, this happened in Fortnite. I don't know, bro, whatever you guys talk about. And so they walk over there and they get to the court and Tyler's like, all right, I'll be right back. I need to go to the bathroom. Here's a basketball. If you want to start warming up, I'll be right back. So anyways, Tyler leaves Ben at the basketball court, which was totally fine. It's not like he was leaving him somewhere scary or something. It was a public park with people that, around. It wasn't empty too. There was other people there. So yeah, anyways, Tyler goes off to go to the bathroom. He's in the bathroom for a little bit, walks back to the court. And when he walks back to the court, what he sees is kind of scary because he comes back and he sees his little brother Ben sitting on the ground in fetal position, upright, not like on the ground sideways in fetal position, but upright on the ground in fetal position, crying his eyes out. So obviously something happened and Tyler's a little bit worried about this. So he goes over, he's like, Ben, what happened? Are you good, bro? Are you okay? And he looks over and he sees the basketball has been completely deflated. So immediately in Tyler's mind, he thinks, okay, probably my little bro, Ben, somehow deflated the basketball, is thinking that I'm going to be super mad at him and is preemptively crying, right? So Tyler's like, bro, did you break the basketball? That's okay, man. We can always get another one. It's really not that big of a deal. But after Ben keeps crying or whatever, it's pretty clear that it's not just that because Tyler just expressed to him how it's not that deep that he broke the basketball and he doesn't really care. So now Tyler knows it's something more. Yeah, so anyways, Ben, sure enough, is still crying, still looking at him, and Tyler's like, what happened? So basically Ben eventually composes himself, gets himself together, and explains to Ben, or explains to Tyler, what happened. So anyways, there's someone in the neighborhood who we're going to call the neighborhood Karen, because she was the neighborhood Karen. There were people would like complain about her. She was notoriously like the Karen of the neighborhood, always saying that she would call the manager on you and she's calling the cops because she doesn't think that you have a permit to literally just exist or whatever, right? So basically, through kind of like tears and sobs or whatever, Ben explains what happened. So basically what happened is the neighborhood Karen, he was just standing there by the basketball courts waiting to go play. He was holding the basketball in his hand, waiting for Tyler to come back from the bathroom. And that's when the neighborhood Karen seemingly spawns out of nowhere in his face. And she's like, you're not allowed to play basketball in this park. You're disturbing the peace for everyone else. Which, first of all, bro, literally makes no sense at all because, I mean, come on now. It's a public park with basketball courts. There was actually people playing basketball at the time of her saying this too. So it really did make absolutely no sense. And also, even if you weren't allowed to play basketball, ma'am, like, come on, bro. It's like a kid in third grade with a basketball. You're really going to go up on him and be all like, oh, you can't be playing basketball here. That's against the blah, 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 right? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Anyways, though, so yeah, sure enough, the subscriber goes on to be like, yes, what happened next, Ben? What happened next? Ben then says that, the Karen was like, I'm not going to let you play here. You're not allowed to play here. You're disturbing the peace, and you need to go. So the little brother was like, okay, I'm going to go, like, sure. And because, I don't know, if I had some, like, old lady screaming at me when I was, like, 7 years old, I would probably just do what she said anyways. I was not the type of, lady or whatever, or I was not the type of, like, kid to really stand up to authority, which I feel like when you're a kid, you either buckle way too easily or you literally, I don't know, bro, like, you will just, like, rebel against everyone. Even if they're right, even if they say something that is correct, you'll still find a reason to rebel against them. I feel like it's either or and there's no in between. Yeah, so at this point, Tyler's little brother Ben was willing to walk away and was actually about to walk away when the Karen says, where do you think you're going? Ben tries to stutter out the words, you said, like, go away, I'm going away. And the Karen's like, no, you're not going anywhere. I know that you're just going to leave with your basketball, wait for me to leave, and then you're going to come back and make a ruckus for everyone else, disturbing their peace. And as a citizen of this, like, whatever, I'm not going to let that slide. I'm not going to let that happen or whatever. So, yeah, sure enough, she comes over to Ben and says, give me that. And Ben kind of looks at her all confused because what does she want from him? Turns out she wants his basketball. So she grabs the basketball out of Ben's hands and I don't know what exactly, because like Ben was trying to like explain to Tyler how she punctured it, but it wasn't super clear. So maybe she had something sharp in her purse. Maybe she found a corner of a rock. But bro, basketballs are low-key kind of hard to puncture. So I'm not totally sure how this Karen did it, but somehow the Karen was able to puncture the basketball. So literally, basically taking candy from a child, bro, taking his toy, breaking it by puncturing the basketball, deflates with air, does that whole just deflates with air, hands it back to him and says, now you can't ruin anyone's peace, which is pretty ironic because, hey man, there are literally basketball courts there, which are meant for people to use. And the only piece that's being ruined is Ben's piece by this Karen coming over and yelling at him for no reason, and then breaking his property and then leaving. So obviously by the end of this, Tyler was pretty mad. If I was Ben's older brother, I would be pretty angry too. So at this point, Tyler's like, and you're sure it was the neighborhood Karen? Because there was one Karen who was notorious, right? She was notorious for doing this stuff, and she was well known, she was well known in a bad way. She was well known for being bad in their neighborhood. And Ben's like, yes, I know for 100% it's her. So at this point, Tyler's thinking to himself, all right, time for revenge. So Tyler brings his little brother home from the park. And when Tyler comes back through the door, his mom's like, oh, you guys are back soon, because they normally go for at least an hour, right? And they're already back like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever after leaving the house. It didn't make a lot of sense. And then she immediately sees like Ben, the little brother, he's not still crying or whatever, but His face is red, his eyes are red. It's very, you know, that kind of look you get after you've been crying or when someone's been crying for a long time and pretty hard, right? You know, even if they're not crying anymore, it's very clear by the redness of their face and the way that their face is red. They had just been having a session, right? They had just been having a cry session, you know what I mean? So yeah, right away, you know, the mom is like, oh my God, like what happened, Tyler? And Tyler then goes on to explain the story with a Karen. And the mom is mad. She is PO'd, bro. She is not happy about this. So obviously the mom's like, this is unacceptable. Like this woman has been terrorizing our like county, our town, whatever for the longest time. But now she's coming after my little baby boy and doing that. Like, that is ridiculous. It's not even like you guys were doing anything. And even if you were doing something, there's a much more mature way to handle it than however she did it. Like, that's absurd. We got to do something about it. So Tyler, it basically leaves, you know, the mom to go stew and post on Facebook or whatever. But Tyler also knows that, like, no offense, like he says, no offense to my mom, this is in quotes, but I know she wasn't about to do something, you know what I mean? Like, she's all talk, no action. But Tyler, he's about that action. Yes, so Tyler sat down and spent the next hour figuring out exactly how he was going to get perfect revenge against the Karen. And after a long deliberation, a lot of thinking, he eventually emerges from his room confident, because now he has the perfect plan for revenge against the Karen. Hopefully after this, she will never be doing Karen activities like this ever again. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, I want you to comment Karen down below in the comment section. That's the secret word of the day and basically shows you how many people, or shows me, if anyone, whoever made it this far into the video. I'm going to try and heart as many of the comments as possible that say Karen. And also while you're down there, I'm probably going to have a pinned comment saying like W chain or reply to this or something. Also reply to that. And finally, I want to let you know if you use Spotify, if you're a Spotify user, I also post these stories on Spotify, so make sure to follow my podcast. Look up Connor Pugs on Spotify or use the link in the description. That one is me. And finally, people have been asking, oh, how do I submit stories? Well, here's how you submit stories. You go to Instagram, download it if you don't have it. Go to Instagram, follow my account, Connor Pugs. I have nearly 1 million followers on there, so that one is me. Follow me and then hit message or DM or whatever and DM me your story. Message me your story. You can only message me if you're following me, and if you're feeling extra special generous, maybe leave a like on some of my photos too. It does help out. And of course, if you haven't already, leave a like on this video to claim your free nothing. And with that all being said, now it is finally the time you've been waiting for. It is time for the Karen to get the karma she deserves. Oh yeah. The rest of the story is pretty satisfying. I know you will enjoy it. Make sure to strap in. And this is just another reminder of why being a Karen doesn't pay off. So Tyler goes to find his mom. And so basically his mom is on this board. She's on this board. She's not a high-ranking member, but nevertheless, she is on this board of this kind of committee, council, whatever. I don't know if you guys have these things, but in a lot of towns, you'll have like the town council, where basically members of the town can volunteer, and then okay, I'm gonna be straight up, they don't really do that much, like no offense, these councils or boards or whatever, they don't really do that much, and in all honesty, they're more of kind of like a status symbol within the town. It's like, oh, so-and-so's on the whatever executive board. Do they do anything? No, but that's still pretty cool. And here's the thing, the Karen is on the board. The Karen has had a few strikes against her for previous Karen activities, but Tyler, who's really been thinking hard, is pretty sure that he can convince the president after this recent activity that yes, this will be the final straw to push her off. So anyways, Tyler asks his mom, hey, can I speak to like the president of the board? And his mom's like, I don't know, like it's really hard to reach her because she's so busy. Busy doing what, bro? Busy doing nothing. That's all you do in these committees, I swear. Anyways, but she does say, hey, look, I do know that the president of the board goes to this restaurant super often. Maybe you can catch her there during lunchtime. So it was like some kind of local diner type thing. I don't know if the president of the board liked that diner so much to keep showing up there, or she kind of liked the fact that all the locals who go to that diner know her as the president of the board. I don't think they're asking for photos or anything, but Still, I think the president kind of dislikes all the attention she gets when she goes there. Nevertheless, doesn't matter because Tyler is going to show up there. He shows up there that Saturday, nothing. Literally just gets a meal there, waiting there on his phone, nothing happens. Next Sunday, or the next day, Sunday, shows up. He's waiting there for about 20 minutes, and that's when he sees the president of the board walk through the doors. And now he knows that he has a short window of opportunity to convince her to fire the Karen. Yeah, so anyways, right, Tyler goes over after giving the president basically a little, president of the board, not president of the United States or something, president of the board, a little bit of time to like sit down, order food, and then eventually Tyler goes over and says, hey, my name is Tyler, you're the president of the board, right? And the president of the board's like, oh, yes, I am, right? She's probably thinking like, oh, it's probably a fan of all the work I don't do, right? I don't know why I'm trashing on these like boards so much, but whatever. So then Tyler's like, hey, I need to speak to you about, says the name of like the neighborhood Karen. And the president of the board kind of has a look of like, oh boy, here we go again. Probably getting complaints all the time. So Tyler sits down and says, look, I just think what I'm about to tell you, it's a bad look for her to be on the board, as not only does it represent her, the board, but as president of the board, it also represents you. Which is a pretty good line because Tyler was really playing into the whole kind of like mental image that she was creating, her grandeur and kind of grandiose persona of herself, really playing into that for his own advantage. So, W. Tyler in this one, he knows what's up. Yeah, so anyways, right, sure enough, he goes on to explain what happened, where he left, and when he came back, his brother was found crying, and that the Karen had said, like, you're not allowed to play at these public courts that anyone's allowed to play at, and then pops the little kid's ball. So at this point, the president is, like, completely in shock, like, wow, this is insane. Did anyone see it? And Tyler's like, I think, because it was a public park, but it also, like, he doesn't know if anyone was, like, looking at it, and if there was, like, a recording or something, he didn't have access to it. However, though, just the fact that someone might have seen it was enough for the president to be like, well, we can't have that. If she's a member of the board, well, then she represents the board. And as president of the board also represents me. Yeah, okay, the president was being definitely a bit delusional right now, but W on Tyler, everyone comment W Tyler in the comment section right now. Comment W Tyler, because hey man, Tyler was the one who was figuring this out, bro. You know what I mean? He was able to use her delusion against the Karen, which that's always a win. So comment W Tyler right now. So 1 week later, or a little bit less than a week, because every other Thursday they had a board meeting, but it just happened to be that the next Thursday was one of the board meetings. So Tyler is sitting there very anxiously waiting for his mom to come back because he's not allowed in the board meeting, but his mom as a member, even a low-ranking member, is present at every meeting. She doesn't have to be, but she likes the whole aesthetics of being a board member, so trust me, she's at every meeting. But anyways, the mom comes back and she has this look on her face. So Tyler knows immediately that something is up. And Tyler's like, did it work? And Tyler's mom kind of gives a smile. So Tyler's mom sits down, explains to him, look, this is exactly what happened. At the board meeting, the first order of business was the president calling up the Karen in front of everyone. The Karen was present. Basically explaining the situation, and then they called for a vote for her permanent, to be expelled from the board, forever. And the Karen's like, that little kid is lying. He has something against me. And you know how I said earlier how, someone might have seen it? And Tyler wasn't really sure if anyone saw it, but it felt like someone saw it. Well, one of the board members, one of the most senior board members, stood up and said, I was actually at the park and I saw the whole thing go down. So not only is the Karen caught doing the things that she was doing, but she was also caught lying, which is a big no-no for anything, but especially this board was all about honor and integrity or whatever. So they held a vote, and unanimously, besides the Karen's vote, I don't know if she could, I think she had to abstain, but she still wanted to vote anyways. Yeah, no one voted in favor of the Karen. And yeah, by the end of that meeting, the Karen was kicking and screaming as she was escorted out of the board, bro. And I think everyone was happy because she was known for doing crazy stuff like that. And now they finally had a perfect reason to get rid of her. So with that being said, Tyler called down Ben, who was playing Fortnite or something, and said, hey man, I know remember that mean old woman who hurt you? And, he's like, yes, of course I do. Pretty hard to forget that. He's like, well, I got some good news for you. You know that board that she's so happy about being a part of? And Ben's like, yes. And he's like, well, I let the president of the board know what happened to you. And that woman, the Karen, is no longer part of the board, and she never will be again.